welcome to Sincerely Carolina, where we have conversations with local and international guests about current social issues to create awareness based on expertise and factual information. Remember, you can win fun prizes by participating in the weekly Learn and Win Wednesday quizzes on my Instagram. Sincerely Carolina is powered by Lindy Boutique, Proframe Aruba, Neutrogena, and Tropic LA. Hi, happy Monday. Welcome to Sincerely Carolina. My name is Carolina and I am your host. We are going to be talking about a new project, a new organization, which has big plans for Aruba's problem with stray animals and just like not spayed and neutered animals, really pets and strays. Yes, because tomorrow is World Animal Day, and as you know, I do care a lot about responsible pet ownership. So if you have been tuned in to Sincerely Carolina for over a year now, then you would know this. And I have some people that I know in the studio today and a new person, so I'm really excited to have this conversation. But before I continue, I just want to say thank you to Sopi Studio for allowing me to talk about whatever I want to talk about, and thank you to my awesome sponsors for making Sincerely Carolina possible. So thank you so much to Lindy Boutique, by the way, my outfit of today, and thank you to Neutrogena, to Proframe, and to Tropic LA for allowing us to create awareness on topics that are really important to our local community, or at least I think so. Anyways, so without further ado, hello ladies. Hi Diane.
Hi,
Mercedes.
good evening.
All right, so for those that don't know you, Diane, who have not met you on Sincerely Carolina before, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
I'm Diane. I live on the island since 2008. Since 2015, I've been involved with Sgt. Pepper's Friends, one of the rescues on the island. And since the beginning of this year, I'm also part of the board of AWA, Animal Welfare Alliance Aruba.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And a new face. Hi, Mercedes.
Hello. Hi.
So tell us, who are you and what you do?
I'm Mercedes and I'm part of United Dogs Aruba. And since not that long, I kind of live on the island as well.
Ooh, fun.
So I can participate more in more ongoing projects. And so that's basically what we're starting up with AWA.
Okay.
It's an ongoing spay and neuter project, what you already mentioned.
So I don't know if any of you were like hoping to go to the long white table. I have been trying for a couple of years now, and every time it's sold out. But anyways, so they raise funds for local organizations, and local organizations this year got to do a really nice campaign where they were able to create like a video and people had to vote. And it's really nice to see because I was relatively new, but y'all won the campaign, and I think it's because we are finally as an island all on the same page that this is a serious problem and we need to do something about it, right? So can you please tell us about why this campaign came to light? Because, you know, I heard United Dogs and Sgt. Pepper's. I know there are other organizations involved with you too, like Criollo Trappers and Luna Foundation,
and
right?
Nine Lives.
And
Nine Lives,
yes.
of course.
Yes.
So you all came together and decided that this was really important. So tell us a little bit about that and how you came to this project and, yeah, what it entails.
Go, Diane.
Okay. Yeah, so I think a very long story short is that we've all been trying our best in our own ways to make a change on the island. But I think we can all agree that the way it was going, there was no real difference for the future.
Okay.
So if you would say Luna focus on the older dogs, Nine Lives on the cats, Sgt. Pepper on both cat and dogs, Criollo Trappers mostly on spay and neuter, and United Dogs has been arranging the mass spay and neuter campaigns before COVID. But if you combine all together, we still didn't have the idea that it made a real difference for the future. And with AWA, we kind of stuck our heads together to see if by spaying and neutering much more animals monthly, so continuously, and combining that with awareness and education, we have the idea that we can make a real impact for the future. So not only spay and neuter, but also change how people think about caring for their animals, learn the kids some things, and that is why we decided we want to focus on the low income areas and the families that really can't afford to go to the vet themselves.
Because, I mean, it is an issue, right? People get pets, and I think a lot of people underestimate the time, effort, but also money that goes into responsible pet ownership. So yes, I mean, Diane, I have been doing the summer camp where I come every year with the kids, and this is a big thing because they get to see that, you know, having a puppy or a dog or a cat isn't just, you know, playing, having fun. It's a big part of their own development and the development of the pet, but also everything else that goes into that responsible ownership. But sadly, not all children are exposed to these type of programs or these opportunities. I did see that Bookie Pratt, for example, is pushing this a little bit more. A lot of other organizations are going into schools, but we already have a problem. So, you know, we're working on the prevention, but there is already a problem, and we need to do something about it. I was really happy to see, as somebody who is very involved in like charity organizations and NGOs in general, to see a group, and it's, you know, 5 different organizations coming together and then doing something together. This is not easy in our island for some reason. It has a little bit to do with culture, but, you know, it was really nice to see that, because you all realize that although the work that you do individually as an organization is very important, you all had a common goal. So, Mercedes, can you tell us a little bit about what the program is supposed to look like, or what you guys are aiming for like the near future, and then eventually like long term?
Let's talk a little bit about the long-term goal.
Okay.
That's easy to start with. So basically, we will try to spay and neuter 6,000 to 9,000 animals per year.
Okay.
That is what the clinic will be set up for. If you look at it, because we're gonna be open like 5 days in a week, so Monday through Friday, not in the weekends. We are run by volunteers, all volunteers, from the vets to the vet techs to the clinic assistants to the transporters. So everybody is a volunteer. So the whole operation is run by volunteers. So if you look at it, so basically we will do surgery at the moment that we have vets. So if you go back a little bit, so where we are now, at this moment we are doing inventory in the clinic. So we have from United Dogs Aruba, from the spay and neuter campaigns, we already had a lot of supplies, basically.
Okay.
Not the medical supplies, so as the drugs and those kind of things. So of course we have to bring those in. So based on that, we're first doing inventory to make sure that the clinic can run itself, you know, besides the vets and the vet techs. So we expect mid-October to be ready for the vets and the vet techs to come in.
Okay.
And they will run a weekly rotation, basically.
Okay.
So a vet normally is accompanied by 2 vet techs. One is more responsible for administrating the drugs, and the other vet tech is doing the recovery. So that's basically the responsibilities within the clinic. Then we have local volunteers that are doing the things. So they're more like the basic.
Okay.
So they all know where everything is in the clinic. They can help the vets and the vet techs how to kind of, you know, what the flow is, and explain those kind of things to them. So that's how we set it up. It's new. I think it's also very new for, if you look at the States, I haven't heard from a clinic that's completely run by volunteers, even the vets and the vet tech. So it's exciting for us as well. It's a big learning curve, but that makes it interesting as well. And it is not that far from the campaigns we used to do.
Yeah.
And we kind of discussed earlier, like that COVID did have a large impact on the things that we normally do per year. Even with Stimami, Sterilizami, also a great project from the island itself. But also the spay neuter campaigns, we could not continue that because of COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is, I think, a perfect example. And what you just said is how 5 heads of foundations come together and try to make this happen. And luckily, also what you just said, because of the long table event, you indeed see that there's a lot of local people that see the need of these kind of programs. And what we hear back from companies especially is that they're very pleased to see that we all work together.
Yes.
And that is something that it's a little bit more professional. People understand what our goals are, where we would like to be in like 3 years, because we strongly believe that within 3 years this should not be an issue anymore. So if we go back a little bit how we will operate this, so it's not that all individuals can come to the clinic. No. We know already from our experience with all the other organizations where the neighborhoods, the barrios are with issues.
Okay.
So we go into those barrios. We have volunteer teams that explain what we're doing, that we're there to help. And we kind of go street by street by street. We make an inventory of the houses, people, how many dogs, cats there are, and help them. And that is also a little bit, if you look at education and awareness, we already talked to, there's some barrio centers that are being set up for next year. There will be more activities in the barrio centers.
Nice.
So we are going to work together with that organization as well in order to spread the news a little bit more. And we sincerely hope that the people that we are helping, that they will be helping us as well as a volunteer from a barrio center.
Yeah.
So that's, like we would like to work together with everybody. Like if you have a neighbor and you know of there's a lot of dogs and cats and you know that they need help, then explain your neighbor, hey, there is a new initiative and these people can help. Please mention this to the Criollo Trappers or Sergeant Peppers. They make lists and we make sure that we'll be there.
Yes. I mean, I love that, going into the neighborhoods, because one, it's easier, especially for the target group, because it might be linked a little bit with like shame as well, right? We live in a very collective culture, so people care about what happens around us, negatively and positively. So obviously the idea that, I'm part of the problem is one thing, but then if it's like a neighborhood engagement and project, then everybody's involved, because, even if you were part of the problem, so to speak, because you didn't know better or you simply do not have the financial means, you will also be part of the solution that will benefit everyone, including yourself. And that's, I think, a nice way of encouraging involvement, like you said. Come volunteer, come help out, be part of the process that will make this issue better. Because the reality is that, a lot of people, it's not only, sad for the animals, but I think people that live in those situations, like you said, the situations where it's a problem, they are also very much affected by this problem. And we have the tendency of ignoring or hiding issues when it comes to, things, because we're one happy island.
Put them under the table.
Yes.
They don't exist.
Yes, exactly. We'll just ignore it. But all of you, the organizations, have been running for a couple of years, and you by now have a really good image of how serious the problem is and where it exists the most. So I love how you really came together and thought about all these little details that, will hopefully make this a successful project. And I love the idea that it's all volunteers. And like you said, I mean, it's hard to get people to commit to these type of things. I know that. But I also think, like you said, if you have a plan where you have a goal that you can measure, right, the amount, you do inventory, and then you can, start seeing progress, I think that will encourage people to be involved in such a project. And I think that, there's pros and cons to being so small, and I do genuinely believe that Aruba, because it's so small, we're able to do so much if only we just sit together and figure it out together. So yeah, that's an amazing way of also being an example for like the world, right? Why not?
No, absolutely. And it's a fun thing because we see there's also a lot of, it's a mixed interest. So it's an international crowd that come and volunteer.
Yes.
So we have a lot of Arubans that are coming and helping us, and they, they commit to a part of the day, so they will come every week. And this week we have trainings. It's quite interesting because people are like, you really get to learn something. So it's also, they feel committed, and they are interested, I think, as well, because they are able to learn a new skill.
Exactly.
Because they can, in the end, kind of, they know how a vet practice will work and how they can contribute to a good cause. So that's quite important as well.
My brain's going and I'm thinking, something for like students, right? And I love doing work with younger kids because, that way it becomes part of their nature, but also older kids. We have a huge issue of study choices. It's it's a big deal, and half of the time, and I say we because it took me like 4 different colleges and anyways for me to figure that out, but anyways but the point is that in my time I definitely did not have as many opportunities to actually go in and figure things out, and I do see it more and more. And these are the type of things, you have students who, for example, the university are choosing, the university is now providing like the academic foundation year, which allows them a little bit more space and time, but they're also at an age where they're older, they have more responsibility, and they are trying to figure things out where they could learn a new skill and genuinely figure out if that is something that they would want to do or not. I mean, and that's the thing, it's that experience that allows that opportunity. So like you said, I think that's definitely a good way. I'm also thinking about, students at APE who are already doing like the pharmaceutical aspect, they might be interested in these type of exactly.
And also the awareness and education part. It would be amazing if there would be some younger people that show a positive interest and can explain, and we need teams to be able to communicate with people in all languages.
Exactly.
I think if there are young people who are
even
interested,
schools that would help out, would love to that what I really would favor is that like a school principal would set up a project within the school.
Exactly.
And you can have like the older kids organize and manage the project, but the younger kids can certainly contribute, and it could be such an interesting way for the kids to be more aware, but also be more involved to a solution. Because we need to think in solutions. We do not need to think in problems now. We need to think in solutions, because otherwise we're not coming there. We need to change the narrative, and that's what we kind of thought about like the last 10 years. If we don't change the narrative now, it's never gonna happen.
Exactly. If there are any language teachers listening, maybe those are fun assignments, right? How to have your students try making like a short caption in different languages and see, what becomes catchy, have them share, vote. There are fun ways to make education fun, but also, push a message forward that is efficient and effective for different generations and cross-culture and language. So definitely. I'm so excited.
We have the same thing.
You want to come and volunteer?
We don't even have time to do. Sometimes things pop in your head, and I think there's a lot to gain. Also, the awareness and the education part, and I think we can say that we're going to start in the village in San Nicolas. that's where we're going to start our project.
Okay, nice.
So, and like Mercedes said, we're going to try to include the barrio centers in this project, because then we also have sort of a way in. And yeah, we didn't set it up completely, but there's so many things to gain if you think about fun presentations for kids, like interactive instead of boring
Lectures.
PowerPoints. Like there's a lot of more interactive, modern ways to make people interested.
But also because we talked to Sede, and we're now very focused on making sure that the clinic kind of runs, and the awareness programs we will definitely start already this part of the year, the last quarter, but we'll go full force next year.
Okay.
The interesting part as well is also the elderly, because I have a lot of experience from back home, and I know that older people sometimes can be, feel a little bit lonely
and bored.
And would like to, and bored, and would like to do something that it's good for their heart, They need to fill their hearts with love in order to give love, and that is what you can do with animals. And if the youngsters can, team up with the elderly and the animals, it's just perfect.
Yep. That's the thing. There's so much room for making this, an island-wide effort.
And a positive thing.
Yes.
So I think that is also part of our approach, that we're not going in saying people are doing something wrong, because we're going out of the situation that people really can't afford to do something different. But if you remove the part that a mommy dog or mommy cat keeps having babies, they have to care for a lot of more animals, or it causes trouble in the neighborhood. If we are able to remove that, it also helps like neighborhoods becoming more safe. And I think that is part of the program the government is working on. So I think we could really connect in that.
Of course. And like you said, there are many different ways. Indeed, we see that our elder population is, I don't want to say it's forgotten, because I don't think so, because our culture really involves, like families are involved with their elders, but in organized ways, there are some here and there, but maybe, some of them like animals and maybe not people as much. So, and I'm thinking about my parents, and I don't know if they're listening, but anyways, like I can see how they would prefer doing something with either like plants or animals, and, versus going and chit-chatting with like other people. I don't think they enjoy that as much, but so you're giving them other opportunities, and because it's run by volunteers, they can also be able to, do stuff like have a schedule, something that they look forward to weekly or bi-weekly. So I love how this is much more than just addressing our, overpopulation of stray cats and dogs, which is a problem, but also, hopefully having a real positive impact on our neighborhoods and our people.
And of course it must create a snowball effect, because if we tackle the situation before it even happens, we don't get the reports. So with we, I mean all the foundations on the island.
Yes.
So it will lead to less animals ending up on the streets, ending up in the CCC, being dumped in the bushes, people asking for help to any of the foundations. So it might take a while, of course, before we see it, but definitely after 2-3 years, you must see a difference in reports coming in asking for help. Yes. Because we believe that a lot of the help requests, or a lot of the dumped animals, or the animals ending up in the CCC, they come also from situations where people sometimes don't have another option.
Yes.
So...
and the good thing is that Stimami is still an ongoing project. So that is next to us. So... you can imagine that the numbers will almost be doubled for 23. So that is, if you look at a number perspective and our KPIs, if you kind of go in that direction, that could be really an amazing number that's going to be sterilized for next year. And plus the awareness together with that it's a different thing. We're trying to do it differently.
Yes. Yes, and it sounds like it's, the goal is to make it efficient and effective as well, because, I mean, the truth is that a lot of the times we, like to invent a new wheel, but we know for a fact that countries have been able to eradicate, the stray animal situations by doing very aggressive spay and neuter campaigns.
Yes.
So we know that it works.
And even countries that are less fortunate than
Exactly.
Aruba. So it's not about the money. It's about the willpower of a government and its people. And that's what it is all about. So you need to have some people within your community
that really want to make
this happen.
Yes. And then I just want to say, and I say this like a lot of times when I'm talking to NGOs, there's a lot of money out there, and that's the thing, that sometimes we panic because we think that we are the situation isn't that great in Aruba, but the truth is that there's a lot of organizations out there that are interested in the well-being of other nations, and thank goodness, Aruba is a loved island by, a lot of other people and a lot of other countries. So the reality is that if you have something that works, what you were saying, companies and organizations in general will feel more inclined to donate, to participate, to be involved, because reality is that they want to see where their money goes. Social responsibility is a big thing. Everybody wants to be part of it, but they also want to see their money be used in an efficient and effective way. And this gives them that tool that it's not only like a forever ongoing thing, but it will help create a solution. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, we were very lucky with Superfood. Always has been behind us with the spay and neuter campaigns, and they were the first one that really believed in us, and they really make it happen. That the first quarter, the last quarter of this year, we are able to. We're emphasis. We are thinking of 1,200 animals before the end of the year, so that. That's what they're making happen. So that's a perfect thing.
And Compra immediately said they would support us. With food and cans to help catch the animals and feed the animals at the clinic, and they're donating 50 operations.
Nice.
And then of course we had the long table event. We were very lucky that we've been filming with a production company a few months ago. They were filming a documentary about the situation on the island with a few of the foundations, and we asked them if they were willing to make a little video for the long table event from all the material they had, and they were so nice to do that. So we were
it was shared so many times. We were so lucky that and also the Aruban crowd, but also an international crowd. There's a lot of Americans that have a very warm heart towards the Aruban animals.
Yes.
So we were very lucky that it was shared internationally.
And like you said, I think the fact that it's more foundations combined, looking at a common goal, like to change the situation.
Yes. It certainly gives it, a more sense of importance, right? An emergency. Yes, definitely.
Looking at the bigger picture. I think we realize that now, that if we don't look at the bigger picture, we can continue like this for years till we have to retire, and then somebody else needs to take over. So
and that's sadly how a lot of things work. If you don't come together, and if you don't figure things out together.
And there's a lot to gain. So
and it's also fun.
It's really fun.
It's a fun thing. Really.
And like you said, I've been doing the whole rescue thing for a long time, but I already learned quite a lot of medical stuff that I really didn't know. So yes, we are learning, and it's also it is kind of cool what we're doing if you think about it.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot of work, but it's nice.
Sorry, what are you doing? You're setting up a vet clinic.
Sort of run by volunteers.
It's pretty cool.
It is. All right, so can you maybe give me like an idea of how serious the problem is, and just so that the listeners also understand. And I do hope, by the way, I didn't say that, but we're live, so if you have questions, you can leave a comment on Facebook, then I'll read it. If you leave a comment anywhere else, and I'll see it tomorrow probably, and I'll try to respond. But I do my best. And but yes, so I really hope that on a day like tomorrow, of course, please, by all means, spoil your pets. I am all for doing that. But also have conversations around this. This is the idea. Like when we have awareness days, it's not only about celebrating, but also talking. So what are things that you want people to really understand into why this is so important? Like, I don't know, do you have numbers? Do you have like an idea? Or can you maybe tell us like why this is a serious problem? I mean, we know, but just so we can give it perspective.
I think like the most simple answer is that the amount of requests for help is still so large that with all of us together, we really have to say no several times a week. And in my opinion, the problem with cats is even bigger than the problem with dogs. Only with our foundation, I think we get about 25 to 50 reports per week about cats. And that's not one cat, it's multiple cats. It's moms with babies, found kittens. And then for the dogs, I think there's a large problem with adult dogs and teen dogs. There's many people who they get a puppy, buy a puppy, adopt a puppy, and then they realize like after 3-4 weeks they're getting bigger. They're starting to eat your shoes or eat your furniture, and they're jumping at you, or they throw over the kids. They make a mess. Well, I think you know where I'm getting at.
Oh, yes.
And then they realize that it's maybe not that fun. So what we see is a lot of teen dogs that are either left behind, or people contact us because they can't handle it and they need to rehome them. And the amount of help requests is so much, we really can't help them.
You just
all.
don't know anymore sometimes. It's
don't-
overwhelming.
It's really overwhelming.
But you want numbers, right?
If you have.
No.
If you don't have, it's
we
fine.
Don't, we
I just
don't,
love them.
We don't have numbers
No.
because
Okay.
there is not an institute that is calculating this. But I have my take on it, so let me put it that way. I think we have at least over 20,000 dogs that are outside yards.
Okay.
Let me put, it's a very gray area here in Aruba.
Yes.
So a dog outside a yard is not
Not
what is
stray.
it, It's not a stray, but it's kind of a gray kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, we don't know what
I
it is.
usually say
Especially if they're not
roaming.
spayed or neutered.
The roaming dogs.
Yeah, well,
yes.
you could call it roaming. So it
Yes.
could be either owned but the yard is not closed, or it's a stray. And I think the real strays, there are not that many real strays. I
Okay.
think most of the animals, they are owned in a way but live half outside, inside. So like you said, there's a big gray area. I rather want to speak of thousands.
Yes.
Because I really don't have a clue if it's 10,000 or 8,000 or 3,000. It's many.
Yes.
And I think cats...
And the cats is even
Cats is more.
Worse.
more.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you just
Yeah.
think about it, one female dog, normally their litters in the first couple of years are around 10. And they're like 5 male, 5 female. What happens?
Yep.
After 6-7 months, 8 months, there we go again. And it goes and it grows and it grows and it grows. So I'm not saying luckily enough, there's also puppies dying. But if all these puppies and all these females and males would be reprocreating, then in 6 years, one female dog could 68,000 puppies, other dogs. So it's the number is ridiculous.
Yes,
and
it
for
is.
cats, it's
It's
even
even
more
worse,
because a cat litters one more time more than a dog per year.
Per year, oh my gosh.
So it's even more expansional. So you don't really want to think about it.
No, but it is an issue, and I think that I think it's hard to even think of an area where you don't see this problem, right?
you see it everywhere.
everywhere, like
it
literally
honestly doesn't
everywhere.
matter in which neighborhoods you are.
Yep. It is
I agree.
everywhere. And you know, you'll either see, and lots of the roaming, right? And I'm guilty of this. I mean, our female cat, she roams, but you know, she was spayed, neutered.
Yeah, spayed.
Yeah. Anyways, at a very young age, but our neighbor, it was so funny. They also had a female cat, and I think they thought ours was a male cat. But you know, at some point, she had kittens, and you know, the neighbors came to us with like, you know, 2 of the kittens, and they were like, "Yeah, we're looking for a cat." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." They're like, "Yeah, because she got kittens," and we're like, "Oh, okay." It's like, "Yeah, it's probably your cats," and I'm like, "Oh no," you know. And we were like, you know, it's so nice that she has kittens, I guess. Like, if I don't know if you're going to take care, but it was like, it was a funny moment. I mean, of course, our cat, you know, besides that, she was fixed, but you know, it's a she, so she definitely was not the dad.
No.
But I thought it was so funny because I was talking to my husband about it. I was like, you know, it almost felt like she was coming for like alimony or something, right? Like we were supposed to take responsibility.
So also with Stimami, it's not a lot of money.
No, and that's what you say is maybe kind of a good example. That a lot of people also say, "Oh, but my dog is a male." But keep in mind that one male can make the whole neighborhood pregnant because they smell the cats and or the dogs or the cats if it's a male cat. And like you say, like with Stimami, and that's also maybe good to know. Like you have like different categories, I think, of public. You have the people who really can afford to go to the normal vets.
Yep.
You have the special campaign through Stimami. That's also what the foundations use a lot, of course, because it saves us a lot of money.
Yes.
And then you have the category who can barely take care of themselves. And I think that's the category that we are aiming for.
Exactly.
That like help the people that really at this moment can change it.
Yes.
And like you said, it could be older people too.
Exactly. But you know, even in that situation, like it was, of course, we were so surprised, so we didn't even, you know, we just told Sashi, so it's not the parent, but we're all for, you know, mixed families, and if there is any way that you feel like she's responsible, we'll help, whatever.
But it's a mindset, because if you think about it, it's their responsibility to spay their cat, and it's just, if everybody would look at it like that, it would be very different already.
Exactly, but in that situation, you know, and I'm pretty sure they could afford like at least a Stimami, and you know, that would be like overgeneralizing, but you know, let's say they could. It's not only about that at that point, but it's the education about it,
it's
right?
It's the mindset, education, and okay.
Yes, and having like a conversation around it, like how should we have a conversation around it? And that's the thing, that I think these type of campaigns, of course, you will address the ones that really need it, but hopefully it will also touch the people that, you know, like you said, can, but just haven't, or, you know, just didn't do it.
It's, you need to take responsibility for something. Whether, you know, we all take responsibility for our kids, but we also need to take responsibility for our pets. That's just how the world works. That's just what it is.
But it is a delicate subject.
It is.
It is. But I mean, I think that we are on our good path, you know, just by seeing the public response of this. I, you know, personally, of course, because I have always had pets at home, and I think maybe once we had like one dog that, you know, when they say like, oh, you know, try to take care of her and wait until she's like X amount of months so she grows to her size before, and then we had an accident, and then my mom was like, yeah, the waiting thing, we're not going to do that again. Like next time, like I don't care if she's going to stay small or whatever. But so I have always grown up aware, and also because I had that experience, which I personally, people that like breed dogs, like, you know, respect for you for having that patience. But for me, that was a very traumatic, horrible experience. Like, I would never want to do that on purpose. Like, having a bunch of puppies and a mom at home, it's messy and it's very intense, especially if you have, like, inside pets, right? So I was very aware, thank goodness, at a very young age, that I'm going to do everything that I can the moment that I have a pet to avoid that for ever happening again. So we were very aware the moment that we got dogs, we got female dogs, that, you know, we got the insurance for them. They're going to get spayed and neutered by the time it's time. But, you know, then you'll have people who are like, yeah, but, you know, it's like it's an outside dog, and especially if they're males, right? And like, yeah, it's going to be fine, and it's not a big problem. But then explaining to them what the effort is, and then I saw various of the organizations start sharing the number of what like one male dog and one female dog or cat can do. And then I saw a shift in the mentality as well. From a couple of years ago, people were more like, yeah, but if I take care of my pet, it's gonna be okay, to now people are saying like, even if I take care of my pet, I don't want to take the chance, or I don't want to add to this problem or this situation. So I do think that the organizations have been doing a really good job up until this point to making it clear that there is a problem. And you know, you see it on Facebook. People are like, oh, I found this cat, or I found this dog. And then all the people tag all the organizations, and then the people who respond, I already called, they're full. So you see that over and over again. So people are aware. So that's good. That's good.
As a community, you need, you know, this is a man-made issue, right?
Yes.
It's also fair that we do our best to solve it.
Yes.
And it's not only about the foundations. It's not about your neighbor or the other person on the other end of the table. No, it's about all of us.
Yep.
And only when we do this with everybody, then we can solve it. You cannot put this responsibility aside. You know, we're all part of what is going on.
Yes, for
and
sure.
so we can also be part of the solution. So it's a good thing, actually. It's a challenge, you know, but it's good.
And it's not only important for the animals and the well-being of the people and the neighborhoods and the safety and like cleanliness. It's also part of Aruba, because we rely completely on tourists, and internationally, like the animal situation, you know, there's a lot of like tourists who complain about it and have their way of thinking about it. So it really can help like make it a happy island.
Exactly, for the pets as well.
For the pets
for the
as well,
yes.
And in the end, it will benefit the people too, I think.
Yeah, it's also, when an animal is treated well within a household, you also know that there is love in that household, and it will benefit the whole family.
Yes, and the surrounding, of course. It really does teach people
it teaches
patience,
compassion,
responsibility,
love.
compassion. Of course. And that is something...
And structure, you know, because what just Diane explained about all the puppies going wild and eating your shoes, you need, like a kid, you know, a kid needs structure. An animal, a pet, especially a dog, it needs structure.
Yep.
And if you learn it how to behave in a good way, then, you know, it's your lifelong companion. It's just how it is. Because, you know, animals are just great. That's why we all do this.
Yeah, I agree. They are great. Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, what are things that you really want people to know? Like, okay, so there was this big campaign. People know that AWA exists, and people know what the goal is. What do you want people to know now? Like, where do they need to go to sign up? Where do, you know, I don't know. Tell us what you want people to really know.
I think we're going to let everybody know which areas we're going to focus on.
Okay.
And like we said before, like we're going to use the barrio centers as a main communication point, as a hub,
Nice.
you know, to explain people what we're doing. Zoe from Luna already went to 2 barrio centers explaining a bit what we're doing, because we're probably going in with several cars and with trucks and, you know, different kind of people.
Invading the neighborhood.
Yeah, but to make it like a positive thing instead of like an invasion of like people like trying to tell somebody they're doing something wrong. That is completely not what we're going to do. Nice. But on the other hand, like you said, we are going to the neighborhoods. We're going to the people. So it's not. So if anybody has a report, like what happens if you find a dog, find a cat, or you see an animal in need, please go to the individual organizations.
Okay.
So AWA is going to be a spay and neuter clinic and an awareness and education program. So it's not a rescue.
Okay.
So how it will work is all the reports will just go the normal ways that everybody knows, and then the foundations itself are going to see if it's going to be part of a project or their normal projects.
Okay.
But it is good to know that we're going to start the AWA project in San Nicolas.
But it's nice to mention why we started there. Of course, because there's a big issue.
Yes.
But there were also people in San Nicolas, the people that really live there. It's their barrios. We got some help from them, and they really would like us to focus also on San Nicolas.
Yes.
Nice.
Of course, San Nicolas has probably one of the biggest issues on the island. So those two things come together perfectly, and
Yeah, so we're going to inform people as soon as we move to another area, and then everybody will know what we'll be doing. And I think if we are allowed to ask, I think if there's anybody who is interested in helping, like even helping out at the clinic as a clinic assistant, that involves a lot of things that you can learn a lot from.
Bringing awareness.
Being part of that team, like being part of the group that will start up the education program, like maybe the presentations for either kids or for adults at the schools and in the barrio centers. We really welcome people. We really could use
even
people.
if there's a school that hears this, or kids at school that hear this, and they want to go to their principal, say, hey, come on, let's do this. Let's do something that is perfect. We are still just mentioning this. We're still looking for air conditionings and things like that to get the clinic a little bit colder, so make it more comfortable for the vets to do surgeries and things like that.
Yes, I can imagine that is,
so
very
we're still
important.
also looking for those kind of things, or old cabinets, things that you have at the house you're not using anymore.
Plastic
Reach out
crates.
to us. We can still need help, because what is so important, and that is about the efficiency you already mentioned. We want every dollar that we got donated, we want to spend on medication.
Exactly.
Because the medication gives us surgeries. So if we spend that money on air conditionings or whatever, that's nice, but it's not our main goal. We don't, it's nice that the air conditioning is running, but it doesn't spay and neuter any animals. And also, that's why we choose why we're going to certain neighborhoods, because if we have 10 calls for all over the island, we keep driving around. It's crazy. That's not efficient. No, we go into the neighborhood and we take the whole street out and do that in one day. So we only go to one street and we bring the animals back in that certain street.
Saves a lot of
that's what it
driving.
is. Saves so much time. Gasoline, it's more sustainable. So
and also so much better for tracking and measuring, right?
More efficient. And like you said, that is also going to be a big part of it, because we're going to get a better view of the situation. Like what we did, we're already thinking of ways, like maybe with a sticker or with something fun for the kids to see from the outside, like where we've been. Maybe, and that is why we really could help, like people for education and awareness, go back 3 months later to see how the situation is, to talk with the people, maybe again in a barrio center, so that there's so much to gain. But we really do need help for that, because now it seems we are lucky to have like vet sign up and vet tech sign up and get people to help as a vet assistant, but the outside part, like the awareness part, you have to go in the streets and talk with people and to make a change.
And if we're talking numbers, if you want to spay and neuter 6,000 animals, whether it's our cats or dogs, the cost, if you look at it, is like 1.5 million florins.
Okay.
So the large donation we got, it's perfect. It's not getting us there to do that number. So we are trying ways to spend less money but have the same outcome.
Yes.
And that's why we're using all volunteers. It's so much easier for us to hire a vet, but we cannot. We cannot. Because then we cannot do the 6,000 animals.
No.
Exactly.
And maybe within a year or 2 years that we have so many companies that would love to sponsor us, yes, then we can hire a vet and 2 vet techs, because that's what you minimally need to rotate.
Exactly.
But we cannot. So that's why we do it with the volunteers. It's not because we love that. No, it's because
it's a necessity.
it's a necessity. There's just no other way. But it's also an interesting way, because we get high volume vets in, other vets learn from that. So it's going to be also an educational program within the vet clinic itself.
Yes.
So it's just everything together is just an interesting project.
Yeah.
Well, I am certainly very excited. I am really happy to see this happening, because I think it shows how we can come together as a community, as organizations, as NGOs, right? Making the best of our buck. Because like you said, every dollar, every florin counts, especially if you have a goal. So I'm really looking forward to, have our start, like the campaigns. I know that you already started a little bit, but go full on and to start seeing the results as well, the effects of such an organization, of coming together. I think that you will also motivate and really become an example for our island, and maybe even other islands and outside of how we can do better.
If I may say something, so we were very lucky that we met 2 people that donated the house that we're working from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And they're just 2 individuals with a big heart for animals. And they're 2 Americans with a big heart for Aruban animals. And they actually made this possible for us. And their thinking behind it is that they would like to open another house on another island as well, with kind of the same intention and the same program. So also for them, Mike and Naomi, thank you so much. I'm not really sure if you're going to hear this, but they made this, really gave us a flying start. How you say that in English?
So our first ideas were
start,
so different than the starting point we have now, because we started out with the situation like Mercedes has been organizing United Dogs, like on a location with tents and stuff. And when we were brainstorming in the beginning, we were thinking maybe we get those prefabs, maybe we can get donations, and not even a building. So now our starting point is a building with a really good flow and a very central location.
Nice.
And so I think we are very lucky. And and what I am very pleased, seeing how many vets, international vets, are willing to come and help. That's very special too. It makes it, of course, it's much more organizing to have different people coming and going, but it's also very interesting.
A learning experience. I hope that our local vets and vets technician also take up on this opportunity to learn from this and make it a collaboration.
We hope so too.
Yes, we hope so too. And we are in conversation with the vets, and it's a very good understanding. So we're also very happy with that.
Yes. All right, ladies, thank you so much for coming in today. I know that scheduling, that you all are busy in so many different ways. You have people abroad, so thank you for taking the time and coming today and talking to me, but also to whomever listens. I hope that you learned a thing or two. I mean, I certainly did. I'm happy. I'm really happy about this. I hope that tomorrow you share this topic with others. Talk about it. Talk about our local issues. Talk about our pets, our roaming animals. As we learned that new way
My
of...
new favorite word for
roaming animals. Talk about it. Ask your people, your colleagues at work, are their pets indoors? Are they outdoors? If they're outdoors, are they, safe inside? Make it a conversation, a positive one. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close off?
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And come and visit us in 2 weeks.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah, when everything's up and running, please come.
Yes,
come visit.
please do send me an invitation, Diane. You know that I absolutely love what you do and what all the organizations do. Who knows? Maybe next year instead of Sgt. Peppers, we can do that. So I'm looking forward.
Or both.
Or
combine
both.
it.
Of course, we can totally do both.
No.
But yes, thank you to everyone who tuned in. I will be doing a Learn and Win Wednesday quiz. I'm gonna have to think about what I'm gonna use as a quiz of today because we didn't share. That's why I love numbers too, because it's easy for me to quiz on numbers. But anyways, but we're gonna do something interesting and meaningful. Please do share with us if you have any ideas of how to help AWA be, more successful in the neighborhoods. Do you have some extra time or some talent that you want to share? Do you love animals? Please do let us know. You can let either of the ladies know or me, and I will make sure to get your contact to them. But I'd love to see that. I would love to see any of Sincerely Carolina's fervent listeners and learners be involved in something so nice. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my awesome sponsors for allowing me to talk about this awesome topic. Thank you to Sopi Mix Studio. I hope to see you again next week. And yeah, let's just be nicer, kinder, and better people every day. Bye.
Well, that was fun. I hope you learned a new thing or two during this episode. Remember, you can win fun prizes during Learn and Win Wednesday quizzes on my Instagram. Share this episode if you loved it, and I will see you again next week. Bye. Sincerely Carolina is powered by Lindy Boutique, Proframe Aruba, Neutrogena, and Tropic LA.